backboard and blame it on Doc. He's a funny guy.
Hey, yo, we got the full squad here today. No load management.
Yo.
Hey, yo, can we get that? Can we get that out right now? Like, are we good? Everybody good on the same page? We're not gonna hear nothing a year from now. Some reports like, yo, the bench mob had issues behind closed doors. People was getting preferential treatment.
Hey, good over here.
Nah,
Like,
right.
I want to find out from now. Like, Greg had a personal masseuse and whatnot, and was everything good.
It wouldn't be the worst thing in the world.
Not right now. Yeah, that sounds pretty good to me.
Yo, listen to that song Wayne put out, BB King Reverse.
Oh, with Drake, yeah.
Yeah.
His verse right there just made me think about that. His verse right there, he was talking about I fell asleep driving because my seats had the massages inside the driver's seat. Yo, that's
money.
different.
You got money.
That is different. That is.
He's next. He's a different level.
That's that big bag.
Well, who said that? Drake said that, or Wayne said that?
Nah, Wayne said that.
That sounds like a Wayne line. That just sounds like something he would say.
He trying to make us forget that he was on Trump's side before.
Yeah.
Let's forget. Let me do this song with Drake real quick.
Yo, whatchamacallit? It's been a lot. We got a lot of stuff to get into for this episode, but you already know we are back. It seems like we all in good spirits over here. It's going to be a good show. We've talked in the group chat about some of the topics coming up. We are back. It's another installment of the Bench Mob Podcast, episode 39. Overall, this is our 53rd episode. Coming up in a month, it'll be a year anniversary of the Bench Mob being around. So we doing some things. We consistent out here. You feel me? Before we even get into all these different topics, Westbrook, Kawhi, what the heck the Ravens did yesterday, all of that. Before we even get into any of that, got to start off with opening up with this. We got to give our flowers to Lavar. Lavar Ball. We just seen it came out reports. Gelo is being signed on a non-guaranteed 10-exhibit contract to the Pistons, which basically essentially is he gets that 1 year, invites training camp. If training camp don't go out well, he ends up basically being a part of the G League team. Regardless of the fact, Lavar predicted this, said it for years and years that he was getting all three sons in the league. He's not the only father to do that, though. Mr. Holiday has all the Holidays in there. Justin, Aaron, and Drew, who got traded. But if at anything, of course, Lavar receives a lot of hate for his approach, his braggadociousness and all that. But anything at most, it's a lesson in betting on yourself, ownership, faith, and parenting. To be able to still have that faith and still believe in your kids and project that, I think it's huge, especially when a lot of people, out of all the brothers, everybody said Gelo was the last one that was going to get into the league, and he was never get that chance. So shout out to Lavar, shout out to the Ball family, shout out to Gelo, LaMelo, Lonzo, shout out to all of them. Get straight into it.
Hold on.
I got to ask y'all.
Skip past, because he be throwing shots at Michael Jordan like he could beat him one-on-one. We just going to give him his flowers like he's not, a little crazy. He could come off a little braggadocious here and there.
I'm giving him his flowers.
Okay. All right.
Of course, I think this is a part of the master plan. Like we just mentioned, like I mentioned, Holiday, there's three brothers in the league, but we don't really hear nothing about the father. Mm-hmm. I think part of Gelo getting that chance to get into the league was a part of his father building this following and building. I mean, isn't Gelo signed to Rock Nation Sports? Like part of this, the whole braggadocious, I could beat Mike. Your son gets drafted by Mike, and all that talk kind of goes out the window. He's like, if I play Mike, we're gonna have to pay for $42 million. Like, I think it was all just chatting, just to build up a following. Do we all agree with the approach? Heck no.
Marketing genius. Marketing genius.
Oh yeah, for
Marketing
sure.
Genius. He got Gelo in the league by talking it up. Like he literally got Gelo in the league by just being that braggadocio, like literally being boisterous out there, just saying things that are off the cuff. He got Gelo in the league, man. Gelo can play. I mean,
It's okay.
he's okay. He's okay. he's a good. He's okay. Yeah, right. Like he's out of the other two guys. The other two guys are really talented, and I think Gelo's got some talent too. Like there might be a niche for him in the league. Hopefully, he can find it. But the moral of the story is that he bet on himself and doubled down. Like Philly Cheese be saying, bet on himself and doubled down. That's all he did. Like that's he's a genius. And there was a method to all the madness for him. So I love it. I love it.
Yeah,
I knew they'd all get in the league. Hopefully Gelo sticks. I think Mel's the best of them all. I think Mel's gonna be one of the faces in the league for a long time. But we can talk about that another day. I don't know everybody else feeling this chat about that. But I like
yeah, I just wanted to real quick give him his flowers. Like you said, we could talk about another day, his approach and all of that, but get a man his flowers. He actually did it. I believe in Gelo. I think Gelo's gonna stay in the league. He's a shooter. He has nice size.
That's the one son that he taught to shoot like with perfect form. Everybody else, he said, "Yo, go figure it out yourself."
For real.
So, our followers on IG, we all know the blockbuster trade that went down. Russell Westbrook for John Wall. It produced a lot of different viewpoints, and how does it affect the Nets, and how does it affect the Knicks, and does this affect the West, and does this affect the East? All these different conversations. Shout out to the people that voted on our poll. 55% of our followers believe Houston won this trade. Fellas, who won this trade according to y'all and y'all viewpoints?
I think Houston won it. I think Houston won the trade. When you look at the team they have all together and what they've done, they prepared themselves for doomsday. The inevitable doomsday is coming when they got to trade James Harden. When they got to part with him, they got this young core. They got Christian Wood, up and coming star. I don't know how many people really know about him, but he can really hoop. And he really came on late last season before getting COVID. And even after COVID, he balled out a little bit too. And then you get the first round pick that comes with John Wall. Now, John Wall's contract is horrible, and he had that horrible injury. But if he can get back to some semblance of what he was before, which I think he can, he looks good in these runs and on these pickup runs they've been playing, and he looks healthy. They're going to be a good team after Harden's gone. There'll be something they can. There's something that the fans can actually support there, even after you get rid of your most marketable player you've had in the last 15 years, right? Since Olajuwon, or McGrady. So we'll see. I like it a lot. I think the Westbrook playing with Brad Beal and Denny Advia, the new the first round pick they got over in Washington, should be interesting because they're shooters. But I just don't know how it works, because I know Westbrook is a guy who's he's gonna pound the air out the ball, and he's gonna be on top of the keys, and he's gonna dominate the basketball. But Brad Beal's a shooter. He can definitely play off of Russ. It could work theoretically. We're gonna see how that goes. I don't know. I don't think Russ is there to stay. I think he'll play at least a year there. Hopefully, he can kind of pull a Chris Paul and kind of really rebuild his value. Like Chris Paul goes to OKC. Everyone's talking it's the worst contract in the league. He's getting $40 million a year. He's 36, however old he is, right? And obviously that's an exaggeration, but he goes there and he turns it around, gets him to the playoffs. If he can do that, he'll get flipped to a team that's a contender and be in a better situation for him. So I think it's a win-win, but it's more of a win for Houston. No, neither one of these teams are contenders, and that's why people feel like they just really cancel each other out. But I like the move a lot for Houston because of the pick and because of the assets they're getting.
Hey, Miles, let me ask you this. You're a Knicks fan. I was listening to the radio today. I was listening to 98.7 and all the callers that were calling into the radio shows. And a lot of them actually were upset because they were hoping to get CP3 or Russell Westbrook this offseason. As a Knicks fan, are you of the same belief, or are you kind of cool with how this went out? And are you worried?
Cool.
Hey, Westbrook is in the East now.
Worried. I mean, I'm just confused for the Wizards from the Wizards' perspective, because I think that they're confused whether they're rebuilding or going after it right now, because they just traded a first-round pick and John Wall to get Westbrook, which doesn't necessarily make them better. I'm not skipping what you're asking me about the Knicks. I'm just like, it doesn't help us any at all. I'll tell you that. Like, I'm glad we don't have Westbrook or John Wall because we're a team that's rebuilding. We're not necessarily going to win a championship this year, 5 years from now, but I mean, progress can be made this year, but it wouldn't be made if we make a splashy trade like that. That's what usually happens, like that Melo trade that made no sense like 10 years ago. That kind of decapitated the team because we traded like 5 of our young guys for Melo, who was about to be a free agent. So there's that. But with this trade, I think the Rockets win, honestly, because they get the pick, they get John Wall, who's not that far down from Westbrook. He looks good in the runs that I've seen. And I think he's just a better fit. He's not gonna, like Greg said, he's not gonna dribble the air out of the ball. He's gonna pass it. And they got Boogie Cousins too, another underrated piece because you get him on the cheap. He's one of those guys he was an all-star a couple years ago. And people kind of forget because he's had injuries the last couple years, but I think that he's been working. And with this trade, it kind of resets Houston. Like they're going to run a different offense. They bring in a new coach. Hopefully he's able to try to establish some rapport with this group because, I mean, Harden, John Wall, Boogie, if you said that like 3 years ago, you'd think, all right, now we got something. So I think with the Rockets, this is a good move. I just hope that Harden still doesn't want to get traded somewhere else like he did a couple weeks ago.
The bearded one, Ja, the original bearded one. Do you think this trade gets Harden to actually stay? Does Harden stay in Houston with this trade? It's reported that he wanted John Wall over Westbrook. Do you think is the trade this is going to get actually James Harden to stay a Houston Rocket? We have somebody on this episode with us who does not think that is actually happened, but I want to hear from your viewpoint. Do you think this was enough to get James Harden to stay?
No, I don't. But that's only because like he's I think he's made up his mind already. And John Wall, well, first of all, I think Washington won the trade just because I think between John Wall and DeMarcus Cousins, we haven't seen them play basketball in 4 years combined. So so you don't really know what you're getting at all. They got this. It's the same contract. I think with Westbrook, at least you know what you're getting. He is 2 years older than John Wall, so I can see. But the problem with John Wall, that injury is terrible. The Achilles injury. The difference between him and Durant is that he relies on his explosiveness. He's not a shooter. He's an okay passer, but his whole game is speed and explosiveness. And if he don't have that, he's pretty much, just not a factor. So I think that he might have wanted John Wall over Westbrook just because he plays a little bit different than Westbrook. He doesn't pound the ball as much as Westbrook does, but he's not going to be happy there either. He kind of was painted in a corner. They didn't really have much options because of that contract. So between the two, he kind of just had no choice. So I think Washington, it's easier for them to get into the playoffs, especially with this move. The West is just tough in general. And I don't think it's going to be enough to keep Bradley Beal there. I think the experiment is not going to go well either way, but Washington is just going to have a better chance just because they have a little bit. I like their team a little bit better. They got some shooters on the team, and obviously they got Bradley Beal, and they can sneak into the A spot and they get smoked in the first round, but at least they can make the playoffs, So, like I said, it's kind of one of those things where, like, I think I saw on Twitter, Washington said something about good luck, and then it was like, you too, to the Rockets, because it's just like it's just kind of like a wash, essentially. I'm excited. I want to see John Wall do good. I almost forgot how he can play, and like I said, I mean, if it was 6-7 years ago, John Wall and the Cousins like in Kentucky, or like 8-9 years ago, that's a little different. That would have been scary, but I think the ship sailed on both of them, so we'll see.
I think in the long run, I think Houston actually wins on this trade. In the long run, immediately, I think Washington wins because they'll be back in the playoffs because the East is just that terrible and that trash. But I think in both situations, both stars probably eventually end up leaving. In Washington, I don't even think even the more it makes sense because Bill has progressed so much so you don't add that piece with Bill. Bill played so well these last 2 seasons with the ball in his hands. You're essentially taking the ball out of his hands because what was one of the things that Russ said in his departure from Houston? I want to play my way. So if he wants to play his way,
It's true.
He gonna play his way all right.
But John Wall is a ball hog too. So I don't, I think the only way he would have got his own team if they shipped John Wall without bringing anybody. But he was going to have that kind of same decrease in his offense because either way.
That's what I'm saying. I think either way, it's not a good trade. You feel me? Like I feel Bill's game is being taken away, and once Wall gets to Houston, don't think by any chance you're gonna have the ball in your hand. That's Harden's team. So what does he do? He's not a spot up shooter. He doesn't play off the ball.
They said that it's the first time in history that is back to an MVP gets traded in back-to-back seasons, which is crazy.
It's telling, isn't it?
I mean, it is, but it's not at the same time. I mean, it's not really like, think about it. I mean, Houston called OKC to get that. They offered 5 first-round picks so they wanted him. So it's not like, it's not like Westbrook. He couldn't veto that trade. He has to. That wasn't going to work in the beginning either. When he was in Oklahoma City, he was doing his thing. So I think it is telling, but it's not really his fault that he's not been placed on good teams that fits him. So listen, he's interesting. But to be fair, James Harden is not easy to play with either. But and he's about to be traded. So you can't put all the blame on Westbrook.
If y'all want to put a bow on this, go ahead. I want your hot take, bro.
My hot take: Harden, just like you mentioned, Giannis is the reason to blame. Harden is the person to blame. Harden wanted to get rid of CP3. Harden wanted to get rid of Russ. And in about 2 years, Harden gonna want to get rid of John Wall too.
And he want to get rid of Dwight Howard too.
Yeah, Antonio, he's slick. He said in 2 years. You see how he's slick? In 2 years. He's staying in Houston. It's not happening, bro. I think he's slick. You threw that in. You guys slip that in there. Yo, I'll say this. To put a bow on it, I think that for Harden and in the case of Beal, it's a temporary thing. It's a temporary move. They won't be there that long. I think Beal will want out after at least at the end of the year. I know Shepard, GM of the Wizards, is talking about he won't trade Beal away, and he's supposed to say that. That's cute, but give it some time. Give it to the All-Star break. Beal will want out. I just don't see how it works. Like it just doesn't work. And for all the reasons you're saying, Beal's gone out there and he's getting 30 off the bounce. He's become such a great player, and he's actually underrated. Like not enough people understand how good he is because he's playing in obscurity in Washington, but like he's so good. I think he's gonna want out and want to get to a contender. I think teams like Brooklyn, Golden State, Miami, they're waiting. They're licking their chops, waiting for these guys to ask for these trades because they know they're going to be on that short list of teams that these guys want to go to, Harden and Beal, and they'll be ready to trade assets. And we can talk about potential trades and all that, but I think both those guys are going to be out of there. And I'm excited for it, man. This is what the NBA is all about. It's about stars controlling their destiny.
Transitioning, talking about some positioning and stars controlling their destiny, it seems like Kawhi and PG definitely controlled a lot this past season. We kind of knew Kawhi was going to get the load management, but I don't know unless you guys are, have the inside scoops with the NBA that I don't know about. A lot of these reports coming out, it seems like Kawhi and PG had a lot of control outside of load management. I'm going to run down what the reports are saying that they had a hand in. They were the only players to have their own personal security guards and trainers. They had power over the team's practice, travel schedule, and they believe Kawhi Leonard had the power to cancel multiple practices. Kawhi lived in San Diego, which caused the team to be late for their flights. They did not speak to the media until 45 minutes after the game, which then led their teammates to have to answer the questions. They believed that Leonard and George were able to pick and choose when they played entire games and was able to accept or decline playing times What's your takeaways on what's going on with this Clippers saga? Kawhi and PG getting to do whatever they want. This is literally what Greg is saying. They control not only their destiny, they control the organization, obviously. And maybe this is what really caused the rift and caused them to lose last season. What's your takes on this?
Sure, it didn't help, having to be late for a flight because you over here waiting for Kawhi to come from San Diego. That makes no sense. You want to play in Los Angeles, but you live in somewhere else. But that's just the power that they had last year. I mean, Doc didn't. I feel like he didn't really hold them accountable. He let them kind of run things to an extent, and that might have been his demise because, yeah, it rubbed some of those guys the wrong way. Like I'm sure Montrez wasn't feeling it. I'm sure Marcus wasn't feeling it either. But at the same time, you can't turn down the bread that they gave him. So, with that being said, it's like, where do you go from here? Like now, the team's still kind of the same. I don't know if they're going to trade Lou Will or not, but the team's still pretty much intact. So how do you earn these guys respect? Like I wouldn't have any respect for Paul George after last season because he didn't even show up in the playoffs, and that's where we're paying you all this money for. We traded like 6 first-round picks for you to what? Shoot 3 for 18 in Game 7. Hit the side of the backboard.
Pandemic P.
Yeah, Pandemic P. That's his new nickname. I'm not calling him Playoff P anymore until he has a good series.
I never called him that. I think did he give him that? He gave himself that nickname, right?
He gave himself the nickname. Mm-hmm.
First of all, look, I'm trying to figure out. Honestly, I think the only player in the NBA that should be allowed to have all those perks would be LeBron James. And he doesn't even do that. I mean, he probably has like most of that. I don't think he lives in a different state, basically. But I'm trying to figure out who Paul George thinks he is to be on that level where he has all those things. Because I'm not sure what he's done. I could be confused, but I'm pretty sure he hasn't done anything to deserve any of that. So, like, I think Kawhi, at least he won a couple of championships. So you can respect that a little bit, but then it's still wrong because you just got to be a little bit better of a team player. But Paul George, I'm telling you, there might be some secret stuff that he did that we don't know about because, if you come into the team and all these players like Harold, Lou Will, Pat Bev, they're looking at him like, who do you think you are? Like, you haven't done nothing. They basically have done the same amount he has. I mean, yeah, he's got a couple playoff appearances and stuff like that, and he just makes countless excuses. It's kind of just annoying. Like he was talking about how Doc Rivers was blaming he blamed Doc Rivers for how he used him, like a JJ Redick, Ray Allen kind of thing. And I just don't ever remember him running that kind of offense with him. Like they were showing the stats, like they didn't do that at all. So I think he's just confused there too. He's just somebody got to tell him that he wasn't even the Kawhi's first option. So or fourth, honestly. I mean, he was just like the last resort kind of thing. And if he said no, Kawhi was going to the Lakers. So he doesn't even. I think he is just a very misled person. And I think just to recap all that, basically, like between all the stuff for everything that they get, all those perks, there's really there's no excuse for why everything happened the way it did. The blow 3-1 lead, there's no chemistry all year. Like they just think that the names on the paper was just going to win a championship. And people thought that because they were the favorites, but you got to practice. I mean, I thought that was common sense. And this whole low management, Kawhi's like what 27 or something like that. I mean, come on, LeBron doesn't even low management. He doesn't even low management. He's like 36. It's just too much. That's why when everybody was talking about Kawhi is the best player in the world, I ignore all that because he plays 20 games a year. Of course, he's gonna be healthy in the playoffs.
Hey, Greg, what's your takeaways from like what Paul George said in blaming Doc Rivers for what happened now? That Game 7, as Miles mentioned, Game 7, I'm going to run the stats by you. Plus minus PG was minus 20. 10 points, 4 fouls, 5 turnovers, 2 for 11 from 3-point, and 4 for 16 overall. But let's not forget Kawhi's stats that game either. Plus minus, he was minus 21, 14 points, 2 for 7 from 3, and 6 for 22 from the field. Who do you actually put this on? Is it on Doc? Is it on Kawhi? Is it on PG? How are you viewing this?
Yo, it's funny. He goes on all the smoke and he blames it all on Doc. Basically throws Doc under the bus. I don't like the way I'm being used. We didn't make any adjustments game to game when Denver made adjustments. And he goes out there throwing basketballs off the side of the backboard in a bubble environment where there's no fans. And he's blaming his coach for not making adjustments. It's unbelievable. I actually think Kawhi looks better than him. Kawhi didn't play well, but Kawhi didn't come out in the media and say anything, right? Like Kawhi's quiet. He's always quiet. He's not going to do anything. He's not going to say anything. He's not going to do interviews. But it's a bad look. It's in poor taste. You bash that coach on the way out, Doc on the way out for no reason, really. Like there's no reason to even say that, right? Like he didn't play well. He's not owning up to it. And it's a bigger telltale sign for the future for the Clippers too. I will say this, like going back to the original like part of this like portion of the show, talking about, like what went wrong, right? I don't necessarily blame the Clippers from like an organizational standpoint for them caving to their demands. Think about the history of the Clippers, right? We have to really, Sean Livingston, your number one pick, tears up his knee, he's gone, right? Like every time you think, and then the years with CP3, JJ Redick, Lob City, right? You don't win anything, right? And you're so close. You get so close and don't win anything. Nothing's ever gone their way. I get why Steve Ballmer sold out. I can see why you have the Lakers right there. They're glamorous. You get LeBron, you get AD, win a ring, and then re-up this year. And so, like, I could see why they caved. I think every team does it with their stars, and we just don't know about it. I think the Nets, to a large degree, have definitely done that with Kyrie and KD, and like with those guys, and there's stuff we don't know about there. But there's limitations to that, and you got to be able to realize how it affects the other guys on your team, the dogs like Trez, like Lou Williams, the guys who were there who built it from the bottom. They're their foundation. The year before, they were a playoff team. The year before, they were solid, 48 wins. And for those guys to come in and have their way and have more say than the coaches do, right? It's a lot. It's probably a lot for them to handle. That being said, I think every NBA team is guilty of it, and the Clippers shouldn't get bashed for it totally. But from like going back to what you were saying, from that perspective, talking about Paul George talking to him on the show, yeah, he's really gotta shut up. Like he's gotta just stop talking. Like just stop talking, get in the gym, work on your craft. He's a really talented player. I really feel bad that he's in the news for all the wrong reasons, because we should really enjoy this guy. He's brilliant on the basketball court. He's a great player, right? But like something's not there mentally. Like he just gets in these big moments. He calls himself playoff P, and it's so ironic because in these big moments he shrinks, right? So yeah, he really should take a page out of Kawhi's book and not say anything. I think he'll be lucky if he's there the season after next. I think they're gonna move him.
Right, he's out of there.
He's out of there.
So speaking on that, right? So as you mentioned, so Lou Will, Bench Mob, Trez, they all make the playoffs the year before. Kawhi comes and he refuses to come to them unless he's able to get a star. Now, as we know, as Ja just mentioned, Paul George was not the first, second, or third option. He was the girl that, was at the last person that you could ask to come to the dance. That's who PG was in this situation. He was the last person you could call. That was the freshman girl come to you.
The freckles and all that.
Races.
No, for real.
Yeah, of course. I mean, yeah, listen, Kawhi just didn't want to go to the dance alone. That's it. And he just took anything he could. That's all it was. I mean, and it's funny, like
this.
Oh, go ahead. Wait, go. I don't know what happened, but
yeah, keep going.
Paul George, he's not a scrub. He was dominant in Indiana. Until he went against LeBron. It's just, it's something to it. Like, somebody made a good point. He's more of like the third option on a team. He can't be your number two. They're not winning it if he's not number two. And as far as him leaving after next year, he's probably gonna leave because he has a player option. So it's not like the Clippers. I mean, the Clippers can trade him obviously, but I think he gets out of there. He needs to find somewhere where he's the third option, and wherever that is. But it was funny. It would have been perfect for him in the Lakers, but he wanted to not join the Lakers when he had that chance.
I think he could be a solid too. I just think that it can't be with another guy who's like got similar attributes as you.
Yeah.
Like, him and Kawhi it's not really a good fit because they're both kind of small forwards, and you're trying to make it work. Like put PG at the 2. I don't see it. I don't like the fit.
Yeah.
I never really liked the fit, and then you can really see it when, like he said, he felt like he wasn't used the right way. Well, it's because the go-to guy is Kawhi, and Paul George. You're kind of playing that, JJ Redick role on this team, and that's not your best role, but you signed up for this. You gave the okay to go to LA. Like,
yeah, they did.
what you signed up for.
Cool.
Now,
Go ahead.
Now, looking back on this, right? So if we see it's another year that Kawhi does not get a ring, are we looking at this whole situation differently in Kawhi's viewpoint? Him coming to LA, everybody, Kawhi's the GOAT, this, that, and the third. We was having that conversation. People were talking about it. But as a team that made it to the playoffs the year before, I think their roster was pretty solid. Is that not a reflection of Kawhi that you didn't think you could carry this team to where they were going or get maybe a different star? Because PG, if we see the end of the season and it's no ring again, that's a bad look on Kawhi, and I think we're gonna have that discussion. Like,
he was a better fit in Toronto. Like, we could all agree on that. Like, it was way more smooth over there. Like, it wasn't. It didn't feel forced. It didn't feel like, oh, it's win or bust over here. Like, yeah, they traded for Kawhi in that like last season of his deal, but the pieces on that team complemented him so much better than they do in LA. Like, you got Pascal, who's unselfish, Lowry, unselfish, Fred, unselfish. But then you're on this team with like Paul George, who, I mean, if he's coming out to the media before the season starts, which 2 weeks from now it's about to start, you got him bashing your ex-coach, saying how it wasn't a good fit, and you still got to play with 90% of the team that was there last year. It's kind of like you kind of regret your decision on coming to LA. Like, it might have been better in Canada than it is in the City of Angels. So
2 things. One thing that hit me. So him bashing Doc is not that surprising. Now I put 2 and 2 together. Wasn't he dating her? Was he dating her daughter and he cheated on her?
Yeah, he got no credibility. He cheated on her.
That relationship was skewed from the beginning. That was never gonna work. I just thought about that as you were talking, Miles. And then another thing that I wanted to say too about the Kawhi front, because this kills me, right? And it's killed me since they won the ring in Toronto. Why was anyone ever talking about him being the best player in the world? The series he won against the Warriors, KD got hurt. The game KD got back after he pulled the calf and eventually tore the Achilles, he was frying them, right, on the way to winning that game. I think he hadn't missed a shot. And it was, you could see the clear difference was that KD got hurt, and that's the reason why they lost the series. And also when Clay got hurt, because in the game 6, I think it was, or the prior game, Clay goes down, right, with the ACL. And in that game, they were on their way to win that game too. So, like, I just don't understand how that came from, where that narrative came from, because Kawhi's never carried a team. It was ready-made in San Antonio. He played with a great organization, with the greatest coach of all time, and the greatest coach in NBA history, right? And then you go to Toronto, ready-made situation. They had their nucleus of guys, their young talent. They had Pascal, they had Fred, they had their homegrown talent, Kyle Lowry. They were ready to win. They just needed that one piece to push them over the top. And then he goes to the Clippers, ready-made situation outside of the fact that they didn't have a point guard, because they didn't, which was a fatal flaw. Regardless, they were still good enough to compete for a championship. So every team's been ready-made, right? This isn't LeBron we're talking about, where you were in Cleveland for 8 years, getting that 07 team to the finals, right? Like, it's not that. So I don't understand where that came from. Kawhi is a great player, but he's not better than KD. He's not better than AD. and he's not better than Bron, in my opinion.
People are bored. That's why. You know,
Yeah.
why they go out of their way to make sure they don't give LeBron his credit. Like, like the fact that LeBron still got to ask, after he won the championship, he had to ask for his respect. I mean, he shouldn't have to ask for that, and it's just getting crazy. I mean, Kawhi, he's not a leader. He doesn't carry a team like you said. So it's like, what has he done? It literally, I blinked and they were talking about him like he took over the league. I'm like, what just happened?
Right.
Like, did we forget about the guy? Because LeBron pulled his groin, so everyone's gonna act like he didn't just go to 10 straight finals. So, man, I mean, it's just ridiculous. Honestly, I gotta start tuning people out.
PSA to the bench mob fam, all the listeners, get Kawhi out your top 3.
Please.
Do it now.
Please.
You're already late. Just do it now. Get him out your top 3. Don't talk to me about top 3 for Kawhi. Don't do it. You can debate your grandma. Don't do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Man, I really have to. We're gonna have to look at this in 2 years and see what comes of this. As y'all just mentioned so eloquently, LeBron is still the GOAT. I'm putting KD above Kawhi, AD.
That's easy.
Kawhi did what he was supposed to do. He did what he's supposed to do. He won the game he's supposed to win. You even go back and look into that Philly series. They weren't supposed to win that Philly series. So this is the media. This is the people that we live in. We tried to have Kawhi as the GOAT, and that's far from it. We mentioned of course, early in the show, we mentioned the whole trade with Westbrook and John Wall. We're going to be breaking down on each show till we finish it. We're going to breaking down these divisions leading up to the regular season, the preseason. We're going to choose our winners. So we're going to start off with the Southeast Division. The Bearded Ones team is over there, Miami. We got Miami, Magic, the Hornets, Wizards, and Atlanta. How do y'all see this division panning out? Me personally, I see 3 playoff teams in here with the Heat, Hornets, not the Hornets, Heat, Wizards, and Atlanta.
Well, I gotta go. Miami's winning that division. That's just, I mean, they're the best team in that division. So, I mean, I don't think that's really a discussion. I'm gonna say the Hornets over the Wizards, just because I think, just with the pieces they have, Devontae Graham, Rozier, Melo, Gordon Hayward, he's gonna, and I just think he's gonna do better there because they don't have 8 small forwards like they did in Boston, where his role was just weird, or he didn't have much of a role. And I definitely, without a doubt, think Atlanta's making the playoffs. I mean, that team overnight just got crazy good. With Rondo teaching Trae Young the ropes, and they got Bogdan, Gallinari, Collins, Capella. I mean, am I missing something like that? That can easily be a top. They can mess around and get a 6 seed or something. Like that's, if Trae Young takes that next step, I would watch out. But I mean that's obviously they're not really going far, but I think they definitely those 3 with Miami being the number 1 option. Actually, I got the Hornets hat right now, but that's just because I got a lot of beanies. I know. Hold on. Just wait.
You're not being truthful with us right now.
I was waiting for someone to point it out, but I like beanies. I like different, different colors and stuff like that. So this just happened to shout out to the Hornets right now, but Miami all day.
How do you see this division panning out, Miles?
I mean, I definitely think the Heat are the best team, clearly, in this division. I think they're going to be a top 3 seed next year. They still got the whole team, basically, besides, they lost Jay Crowder, which, I mean,
but they got Bradley.
They got Bradley, though. So that's a good feeling. He plays defense. So I like them to win this division. I'm gonna say the Hawks are going to finish second in this one. I think that they made a lot of moves this offseason. They had the most money to spend, and like most people with money, they're going to spend it. So they went out, bought some players like Bogdan, who else? Gallinari. They got the 5th pick with what's his name? Onyeka.
I can't pronounce.
I can't think of it either.
He went to Auburn. That's all I know.
That's a good pickup too. Like, they still got Clint Capella, who didn't really play for them last year. So this team defensively is going to be a lot better, I think. And that's not going to be Trae Young winning any defensive player of the years, but he doesn't need to right now. They brought in enough defense for this team to, hide him on the floor. And like you said, if he takes that next step, then we could be talking about this Hawks team as one of the sleepers next year in this league because they got the shooting. Now it's just about putting the pieces together. And then I don't like the Wizards this year. Not really. I think that trade doesn't really do too much for them. I don't know about the fit with Bradley and Russ. It's going to be a hit or miss. I think that he'll be gone after next year. Both of them might be gone after next year, honestly, because it's like this is a rebuilding team. It feels like, but when you look at it, they're trying to contend. It doesn't make too much sense. And then those other teams, they're not that good to me. I don't like the Hornets that much. I think throwing money at Gordon Hayward wasn't one of Jordan's smartest decisions, and as an owner, he doesn't really make that many smart decisions. So, yeah, this is how I think the division pans out.
Hey, real quick for everybody that's listening, when Josh said Melo, he's talking about LaMelo because I see a lot of y'all young jokers talking crazy that y'all think Melo. When you hear that name, you think of LaMelo Ball. No, Carmelo Anthony Melo. That's Melo. Go ahead, Greg. I just had to put that out there.
Yo, so that's funny. No, that's a real thing out there. So I'm gonna go with 4 teams from this division making the playoffs. I'm going with obviously Miami winning the division outright. They're the best team, one of the best teams in the league. They might. Oh wait, no, never mind. I forgot about Brooklyn. They're not getting out of the East, but it's okay. But we're gonna go Miami. We go on Miami. We're gonna go with the Wizards getting in. We're gonna go with Charlotte getting in. And of course Atlanta. So I think they're all going to get in the playoffs. I think the important thing to remember is that they expanded the playoff brackets to 10 teams to get in this year instead of 8, the usual 8. So I think that it's going to get those 4 teams in as well. So yeah, no, I like Miami a lot. Obviously, they've pretty much plateaued. They are what they are last year, right? They're a great team, great defensive team. They re-signed Bam, gave him the bag, deservedly so. Tyler Hero's a year older. I think he's going to be much better. I think he's really, really good. All jokes aside, they could get out the East, but super, super talented team. And then you got Atlanta. They got Clint Capella, which is overlooked. I think one of us might have mentioned it. And then they also got the draft pick from USC on Onyeka. I like him a lot. Super talented. And then I love what they did with the backcourt, getting Rondo and Chris Dunn to kind of offset Trae Young, who plays no defense. You go get 2 guys who play defense. So it's genius. I like them a lot. And then Bogdan, who plays no defense. But you still got guys on that team. You still got guys on the team. You got rim protectors. You can shoot. He plays a role. You got Gelo. They're going to be a really good team. I like them a lot. And then, or a good team. Better than better than the usual stink Atlanta's used to. So good for them. They'll be good. And then you'll get the Wizards. I think they're going to get in too. They got shooters around Russ. Last year, you didn't have John Wall there, so they were really, really bad. Their draft pick, Roy Hachimura, is a year older. I like him a lot too. Talented. Reminds me of Kawhi. So watch out for that. I like him a lot. Reminds me of Kawhi. Since similar, like just wait, because Kawhi wasn't always Kawhi. Let's just remember that. So just wait. Let it age. Let's let it age. In fact, save that for the podcast, for the Bench Pod fam. Just save that. I'm willing to sit in these predictions I make.
Save that for. I wish I didn't say that.
Say okay, y'all talking crazy. Save it.
Freezing cold takes.
That's a hot take. I'm not saying gonna be Kawhi, but you remind me of Kawhi. But yeah, I like them a lot. I think they're gonna be a good team. They're gonna space the floor for Russ. They're gonna space the floor for Beal. It'll work for a year. It'll work for a quarter of the year. They'll get into the playoffs and get bounced in the first, second round. We'll figure it out.
Atlanta too. They have Cam Reddish and the white boy Kevin I heard
It's
her.
funny how I
Whatever.
didn't even mention either one of them. I think Cam's gonna take a big jump this year too. They're gonna
That's
be
what
a
I'm
good team, man.
saying.
They're
Shout
gonna
out
be
to
a big
Duke.
team.
Shout out to Duke, by the way, Cam Reddish. But go ahead.
Shout out to Atlanta, man. I love it. They're gonna be a better team, and they deserve to see it turn around a little bit after after LeBron dismantled their team a couple years ago in the playoffs.
That's not fair. LeBron dismantles everybody. But go ahead.
He dismantled them too, and twice. But we're not gonna talk about it. Atlanta fans, I'm not trying to kill y'all today. And then we got the Hornets. I like the Hornets a lot. I like the nucleus they have. The Gordon Hayward signing, and Miles is right. Ridiculous. Like, you throw that kind of money at Gordon Hayward, that's crazy. Coming off all the injuries, doesn't make any sense. Very lucky man. Great agent. But you're able to get that young nucleus. You got Devontae Graham, who stepped on the scene. I like him a lot. Can really play. You got Melo, who should be an instant plug and play starter. Terry Rozier, they gotta trade him. It's gonna get a little volatile over there if they don't trade him. It's gonna be a problem. But I like PJ Washington a lot. Like, yo, he's a problem. He's a and so underrated. So underrated. I love PJ Washington. I love their team a lot. I love the construction of their team. They got Bismack Biyombo down there, man in the middle.
Cody Zeller too.
Cody Zeller just doing the dirty work, right? Like, they're gonna have a fun team. They're gonna run up and down. I like Miles Bridges. I expect them to take a leap forward this year too. The Hornets are gonna be fun to watch. They're gonna be fun to watch in the way that the Nets were fun to watch before they became like the Nets. Like, they had Gelo and those guys.
They do have too many guards though. I realize they have Malik Monk too,
and right, and
like so they'll get something for Rozier that they need. I mean, when they figure out what they need as they go. I think Malik Monk lost his spot, but he's been a bust so far anyway. So
it's true, and so he has no real value. So he's probably sticking around, but you can probably flip Terry Rozier, like you said, for an asset. Like, maybe you get another center, because they're a little thin there.
He tried to hold on to his number too, number one, and I think Jordan was like, "Bro, okay."
Something told me not gonna have to worry about that too much longer, but we'll figure it out. Yeah. Yo, he's talented, man. Like, I don't like talking about him like that. He is very talented. He just hasn't clicked yet. Young team, but they're gonna be fun. So I think four teams get in. Miami's obviously number one. Atlanta's number two. Wizards number three. Wow, Wizards number three. All right.
No way.
Let's flip it. Let's flip it. We'll figure it out. But yo, regardless, four teams getting in.
Can we just agree? Orlando's coming in last.
We all agree. Miami's first. Orlando's last. That's something that we all can agree on.
That's how we know for sure. Orlando.
Give me the names of all the teams in the division again. I just want to hear it one more time.
Miami, Magic, Hornets, Wizards, Atlanta.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Miami's finishing first.
Yeah.
Orlando's finishing last. I think you're gonna have to look at Orlando might have to make some changes where players to watch in that division specifically. We're gonna see how Jimmy Butler does this year, of course. Gordon Hayward in the new situation, Russell Westbrook, Bradley Beal, and specifically in Orlando, if Aaron Gordon does not make any improvements, we might be seeing Aaron Gordon out on the outs and
Aaron Gordon. Oh yeah. He's out of there. They've been trying to trade him for 3 years.
Yeah, you got two big rookies in that division. You got Cole Anthony and you got LaMelo. So that should be some fun matches that they're going to see a couple times a year. And basically for the next couple years, they're going to be going at it with each other. Transitioning, we have so far in the college season, it's only a week or 2 weeks old, but it's been a lot of blowouts in both women's and men's basketball. What was some of in your opinion, what was the biggest blowouts that you've seen so far? Like, we got Stanford winning, we got Xavier winning 101-49, Murray State won a game 173-95. What has been some of these?
Can we just talk about the South Carolina? Yeah. Can we just talk about the South Carolina?
But that's not a
annihilation.
Because in women's basketball, they blow out teams. Like, it's really only a 4 or 5 team race in college basketball for women. So,
but
they scored 7 points.
I know.
No, they didn't score. No, it wasn't 7. I think I saw when I was actually watching the highlights. I was thinking, I'm like, they were really about to show this on TV, but no, it was they actually scored 38. So, I don't know who convinced Bleacher Report that was real, but somebody did something, and that wasn't real. The 7 points wasn't real. First of all, if you ever, I don't care what league you're in, you need to be eliminated for good. So
They can
you
handle
can't lose 119-7. So that didn't happen. Luckily, I mean they did lose by like 78, but at least you can say you scored double digit points. So the thing is, first of all, I know there's blowouts like that. I'm just a little bit more surprised. Like I know it was a crazy thing in the men's. Somebody dropped 172.
Mm,
I'm just
Murray State.
yeah. So I will say that's worse because as men, that can't happen. How big of a gap is there really to lose by that many points? And I don't even care about like how much the other team scored. You let somebody score 100. It's not an all-star game. Like who's on that team? Like there's no NBA players on that team. So at what point was the coach going to be like, okay, you know what? We're just gonna. I mean, I don't know. That can't happen. That coach needs to get fired. And if I'm the coach that was on that team that scored 172 points, some people might be like, oh, you was running up the score and stuff like that, but you got to play. I mean, you're not going to hold the ball for 15 minutes. The other coach definitely got to get fired and never get hired again for allowing that. And, like I said, and then as far as the women's thing, I was surprised. I mean, I know there's blowouts, but that was the number one team in the country. But, I don't know. I just think that was just wrong that whoever did that edit. That's the real thing. That 7-point thing was bad. It wasn't real, but it was bad.
Speaking of that Murray State game, the thing that was interesting with that, you can complain, you can say what you want, but the coach played his whole roster and everybody had at least a 15 piece. So,
yo, that's hilarious. I'm sorry.
I played the red shirt. I played a kid that's not supposed to play all season. I played the manager, and everybody got a 15 piece. What do you think? Like, we're seeing them so often too so far in the season. It's an early season, but do you think with all the different COVID protocols and them not being able to practice as much, do you think that's factoring into seeing some of these terrible lopsided games that we've been seeing so far early in the season?
That's the logical explanation. When you think about it, because it can't be anything else. You let up 172 to a team, they will score 200 points. Like, I'll be doing that in 2K on rookie. Like, that is wild. So, like, yeah, I think it's inexcusable. You could lose your job for that, like in a normal year, if it wasn't a pandemic and it wasn't going to be hard to find another coach. And I'm sure they could have their interim step up, but like that is wild. That, as you guys were talking, and we talked about the South Carolina, when he said they scored 38 for the women's game, it took the sting out of it a little bit for me. If it was 7, it was funnier when they had 7 points. I had 38. That's okay. Like, but because everyone knows the gap in women's basketball is bigger, like Miles was saying, it just is between the top seeds and then the lower seed teams. But shout out to women's basketball, they could hoop though. But for the Murray State game, inexcusable. 172, like that's crazy. That's video game numbers. Everybody had a 15 piece. They had the kid who was there to raise the GPA up. He got 15 on you. That's wild. So yeah, that's the worst one of the weekend. And that being said, I don't want this to overshadow the good college basketball we've seen, man. I don't know if y'all seen Cade Cunningham and any of his highlights over at Oklahoma State. Number 1 pick, special player, guys. In fact,
Knicks will be.
No, Knicks are not getting him. They can't even lose right. They can't even get the number 1 pick. So
Yo, we said at the same time. Knicks. Cade Cunningham is the savior. You messed it up a little ball. Y'all didn't lose the right way. I get it.
You know what?
Here we are.
I'm out.
Cade.
I'm out. I'm done with y'all. I'm tired of this.
Go get Cade. Cade Cunningham, 2021. He's your guy. Gonna save the franchise. I promise. Get Cade.
Why you gotta ruin that man's career? Don't do that.
Cade is gonna go there and hoop and ball out.
Bro, he's gonna turn us into a contender.
Have you seen his tape? He's a pro.
Yeah, no, but he doesn't. But his career is over if he goes to the Knicks.
It's over.
I wanted Melo in New York so bad. I think he would have thrived in the Garden. It would have been perfect. And I'm a Nets fan. The Knicks aren't mixed. Me and the Knicks don't mix. But I for real, I would have loved the excitement in the city if they got Melo. Cade is a reserve personality, So you got to worry about that a little bit. Him dealing with the flashy lights and the reporters and everybody talking crazy. But listen, they need a point guard. They haven't had a point guard since who last? Jason Kidd. Old Jason Kidd was your
Oh
last
man,
point
they
guard.
got Frank the Tank.
Who?
Raymond Felton. That was
They
our
got
last
Frank.
Who?
They got Frank the Tank.
That was our last great point guard.
Hey man, listen. I for real, bro. Like, respect to all the Knicks fans listening to the podcast, because for me, like, that's a different type of loyalty for real. Like, that's wild. Talking about Felton.
That's abuse. That's not loyalty. That's abuse.
Ugh.
That's not
No,
loyalty.
What topic is this? I thought we were talking about the blowouts. We didn't know how we get onto the Knicks.
You know what? He's right. We shouldn't be talking about them because we're talking about relevant stuff. Let's go. Move on.
Relevant. Yo, what we doing in the Atlantic Division?
Gonna be like.
What we doing in the Atlantic Division?
Yo, did the Knicks get demoted yet to the G League or no?
Yo, when are we doing the Atlantic Division? When are we breaking them down?
Yeah,
that's
gonna be next. We could do that next.
That's gonna be fun.
I got money on Gonzaga beating the Knicks team right now.
Oh, he talking crazy. Jalen Suggs is a problem too, by the way.
Now y'all being disrespectful.
Hey, Jalen Suggs is another guy. He's another guy. Yo, for real, man. Start. A Knicks fan, start surveying the college landscape now, man. Jalen Suggs, Cade Cunningham.
Just skip the season. Don't even watch the season.
It's top picks. Jalen Suggs is a top 5 guy. Like I ain't see it coming. Start surveying the college landscape. Start looking for your next point guard, because Frank the Tank.
Well, no, you know what it is though. They like to look international, so they gotta watch like the Olympics and stuff.
Ridiculous.
Hey, it'll work out though, because Cade Cunningham, you talking about Jalen Suggs. By that time, they'll be able to have fans to come watch them. So I think that'll be best.
A different docket to me, because I didn't see that.
Well, no, he didn't. No, Knicks. Well, he mentioned we were talking about blowouts, and I think just naturally we just think of the Knicks, every game. So that's what it is.
We haven't played in like 8 months.
Yo, respectfully to all my Knicks fans, respectfully, I was really trying to just like survey the landscape, trying to get y'all a point guard, because this is ridiculous. You see, that's the job's crazy. Yeah, I'm coming. Look, honestly, like, this is ridiculous. They have no point guard on the roster. Dennis Smith Jr. is a shell of himself, and hopefully he can figure it out. I like him a lot. Really athletic. Can he shoot the ball? Well, hopefully he figures that part out of his game. But like, for real, y'all need a point guard in the worst way. That Melo miss was monumental, man. Watch, he gonna turn Charlotte up. And
if I was the Knicks, I would have traded up, man.
I don't know if we the right point guard for us anyway. So no.
We need to get a sponsorship. Yeah, we need to get a sponsorship from Talkspace, because Talkspace is where you're able to, through your phone, you're able to talk to a therapist. Because after this episode, Miles is probably hopping on Talkspace.
Keep going with this.
Miles, a Yankees fan. It balances out. He's used to a lot of winning.
True. But
at least you see it.
Yeah, it balances out.
After this session, just make sure you just text us. Make sure you're okay after this.
Greg, it don't balance out. It don't balance out.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't, because the Yankees haven't won since 09.
What's football?
Jets.
Oh,
that's
crazy.
You're getting Trevor Lawrence. Yo.
No.
That's crazy, Miles. Wow. He ruled out of order too. Because you should be a Giants fan.
Wait, do you remember how it feels to win something?
I do. I've seen winning in my lifetime. I've got a couple championships under my belt.
Yankees fan. So
as a Yankee fan myself, I think it's been a little too long for that too. So I don't know, man. It's been a decade actually for you, at least.
Hey, we got to get that. For all my Mets fans listeners, we got to get that stank off us too. It's Steve Cohen. He rolled up the Brinks truck. Just be careful. We roll the free agency about to be crazy. Stay tuned, man.
Mets are the
George Springer.
Mets are the Knicks of baseball. Move on.
He's right. He's
right. Transitioning. One of the upsets we've seen so far in college basketball, one of the big one, San Francisco University upset number 4 Virginia 61-60. Seeing this upset got us kind of thinking. We're going to do a draft, which I think is going to be our thing on every episode or every other episode. We're going to draft some of the greatest upsets in sports history. So we're going to start off with Miles, since he just went through a lot of pain just there. So Miles, Ja, Greg, and rotate back around. We're going to get 3 picks. So Miles, who's your number 1 overall pick, greatest upset in sports history?
I'm going to have to go.
Suspenseful first pick of all time.
See, that's our next stuff, man.
By just
right there.
So this is the greatest upset, honestly. Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
we got you. We hear you.
Yeah, that was weird, but yeah, the Jets against the Colts. This was like what, 50 years ago, 60 years ago, the last time we won a championship. That was the greatest upset to me because the Colts were looked at kind of in the same way that the Patriots were looked at. This dominant team that can't really be beaten. And here comes Joe Willie, who guaranteed that we were going to win. And nobody had us winning that game, but hey.
Wait a second. Was that the last time that's the only time the Jets won, right?
That's the greatest upset. The last time we won is the greatest upset. I'm dropping a bomb here.
My man went half a century on us. Okay.
Yeesh.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna go a little bit outside the box. I'm gonna say the biggest upset all time was Mike Tyson losing to Buster Douglas. You know, I think that first of all, Mike Tyson was just the greatest at the time, and he had no business losing that fight. And by the way, he actually didn't lose the fight. That referee counted to like 17 when he knocked down Douglas. So he didn't even lose that fight, even though he really did. And yeah, but he had no business losing that fight. Buster Douglas was not in his class at all. But they just, they flew him to Japan. He didn't train. He didn't take it seriously. But like I said, that shocked the world. So I think like out of just things that you just didn't see coming, even though boxing all it takes is one punch. I think that out of all the things I've ever seen, well, I mean, I didn't see that live, but just to know, that was it's just crazy because I don't even think Buster Douglas believed he won that fight after they announced it, so that's for my pick.
Who you got for your number 1 pick, Greg?
And I gotta stay true to the New York roots, man. The 2007 New York Football Giants upsetting the undefeated Patriots. Listen, bro, like that was wild. Like that's significant. Like for real, like you had MVP Randy Moss, MVP level Tom Brady on that team, and you go in there and you beat them with Eli. Unbelievable, yo. Eli, you guys can't talk bad to me about Eli Manning after that. So yeah, no, that's the craziest upset I've ever witnessed in my life.
Yo, I knew you were going to pick that. I was hoping somebody would pick it before you.
I got something. Yo, wait till my next pick. I don't think anyone's gonna pick it. My next pick. So go ahead. Go.
I got 1991 Duke beating that UNLV team. That's my biggest upset. That I'm gonna start off with my number 1 pick. We're gonna go back around to Miles.
My second pick, probably that Nova beating Georgetown in the 80s. That was huge. Just because Georgetown was this huge powerhouse, had all these NBA players on that team. And the only way they were going to be beaten is if Nova didn't miss any shots. And I think they shot like 60-something%. So mission complete. They did what they came to do. And surprisingly, that team with like Patrick Ewing, a couple other NBA players, they only won 1 championship out of that whole run, which if you think about it, that's a letdown with all those guys that ended up being pretty good in the league too. I don't know anybody who came from that Villanova team, but that's a story I'll tell to the day I die, is that I beat the legendary Georgetown teams of the 80s. So that's my second pick.
So, I was kind of going back and forth. I mean, you could go either way with my second pick, but I'm going to probably go with that UMBC team, the 16 seed that beat Virginia.
Yeah.
Look, you see upsets all the time. One game, March Madness, is what makes it that beautiful thing that everybody loves to watch. But for many times we've seen 15 seeds beating 2 and 14 and 3 and beyond. That 16-1 just thought that it was never going to happen. And that Virginia team was just dominant team, even though they were like a defensive team and they were just boring. They got the job done, and to lose to a team that looked like they was throwing out JV league players, it was just. And I'm like pretty sure they lost by like 20 points that game too. Like it wasn't even close. So not only did you get upset, but you got destroyed. So they ended up winning the next year. I guess they redeemed themselves, but that's always like you'll never. They could have won 3 in a row. Like they'll always know that they lost that game, and that's something like I don't know if we're ever going to see that again because usually that one seed is just above everybody else. So just seeing that live in person, it was just crazy. Like I thought I was never going to see that.
So let's hit this number 2 pick, Greg.
Oh man, a drummer will be fitting for this one. I'm going with the 2016 Cleveland Cavs coming back down 3-1, beating the 73 win Warriors team.
Yep, 73-9.
Yo, bro, listen, that was a day Bron hit GOAT status. That was it. Significant day. I'm gonna tell my kids about it. I don't know about y'all, but that's a huge thing. So yeah, I'm going with that as my second. It was almost my first. I love my next pick. I'm super excited about that. Yeah, y'all said 3, so I'm gonna let y'all get around, but I like that one.
Can't nobody disagree with that one. That goes down in history forever, like forever. Mine, that year that the Dikembe Mutombo in 1994, the number 8 seed was able to beat the number 1 seed Seattle Supersonics after being down 0-2. We had the most famous time where he did the no after the block that really helped it go worldwide. So I think that was one of the biggest upsets, which from what we could look even now in history, we don't see that many number 8 seeds beating a number 1 seed. So we could I definitely put that up there. And we're going to actually go back around with Greg. So you get that one in. So we go Greg, John Miles.
Wow.
Snake style. Cool. You did snake style. So my next pick is the 8th seed. We believe Warriors upsetting the number 1 seed Mavericks. Baron Davis made his legend in that series. The dunk when he banged on. Who did he bang on like that?
Andre Kirilenko.
My God, yo, crazy. That's my
I think he retired after that. Kirilenko after that play.
Was it the Jazz they beat number? Was Jazz number 1 that year? Or was it Dallas?
It was the Jazz. It was Jazz.
It was the Jazz.
That's what it was. Yeah.
Yep. And then he pulled up the shirt and he showed that he had the waist trainer on.
I don't even know how he got off the ground like that for real. I think it was like he was eating mad Big Macs before the game. Crazy dude, man. But look, that's my last pick. I'll never forget that series, although I did forget the team. So funny enough.
So this one pains me because you took my pick with the Cavs, but this one hurts just because it happened to the team I like. The Yankees up 3-0 against Boston.
Why we got to talk about this?
Honestly, I didn't even want to talk about it anymore, but it was just.
It's self-explanatory.
Yeah, that's it. The 3-0 lead. I'm just gonna move on from that. I'm about to cry.
Oh, Jesus.
Go ahead, Bob.
I gotta collect myself. He's bringing back memories from my childhood that just I don't want to relive. But
stoned right now.
My third pick would be that Michigan versus Appalachian State from 10 years ago, that football game where these teams, they like to throw these cupcake games to get started, warm-up games, thinking that, all right, we'll run over them. We'll run every part of our offense, and it's not going to be close. But this game, for some reason, they couldn't stop them. It was a competitive game, and it came down to the last kick for Michigan to win, and all you remember is the block kick and the guy running back. And I think he got tackled, but still, the way that game ended, I don't know if I would have showed my face in Michigan for too long after that, because that's embarrassing. Appalachian State, I'd never even heard of them football wise before that.
Yeah, you know what's crazy, real quick. First of all, you know that they pay these schools
Mm-hmm.
to come lose by 50. So when you pay somebody 500 grand and lose to them, that gotta hurt more. And it was at home. I think it was Brady Hoke that was a coach there. He probably got fired that season, but oh my god! I mean, they probably took that check and was out of there.
Yeah, that was a tough game. That was a tough game for anybody. That would drop a team out of the top 25 for me, because this is a cupcake team. You didn't assume that they were going to be some top 25 team you're scheduling, but here they go beating you, and the rest is history, honestly.
And that's what everything bench mob stands for. Stay ready, you ain't gotta get ready. And Appalachian State was ready. My last pick is going to be. It hurts. I'm not going to talk about it too much because if this didn't happen, I think we're having a different discussion when we talk about the greats of all time. But that Detroit Pistons team that beat the Lakers, that by all accounts was not predicted. I know I was going to school lit. Lakers getting another one. I'm wearing Lakers gear every day, got the hat on, and then I went quiet after that. So
that was an 04 Pistons
That was
team,
04,
right?
right? Yeah.
Team.
Billups, Rip,
Ben,
Ben,
Prince.
Rashid.
Kobe was supposed to get one more, man. He was supposed to get that one, but it didn't work out. Transitioning, something that did not work out. The Steelers-Ravens game. It was abysmal to watch. It was hard to watch. Obviously, we had a lot of issues with COVID. The game was supposed to be on Thanksgiving, which that messed up a lot of people's Thanksgiving because there was a lot of trash on Thanksgiving. Everybody was looking forward to see that game, and that game didn't happen. They had it on a Wednesday at 3:00 in the afternoon, and that should let you know how important still that the lighting of the tree is, that it trumps the NFL, that they had to move it up to 3:00 so the tree lighting could still happen. What were some of y'all takeaways from this game? Big question with this. Steelers win the game. They end up, staying undefeated. Who is really the second best team in the AFC? Because I think we could say after this, can't be Pittsburgh.
Why not? I think they still are the second best team. I think Kansas City is better than them, honestly. And it's not a close debate. I think the defense for Pittsburgh is pretty good. It's really good. But I just haven't seen the Chiefs really get stopped like that. Like, they ran through the Ravens, and Pittsburgh struggled with them on, Wednesday afternoon. So I just don't see how the Steelers could be the best team, even though they're undefeated. But if you look at their schedule, they played some cupcake teams as well. So I don't know. I'm rocking with the Chiefs until somebody knocks them off.
I got a hot take. So I think Pittsburgh is the
fourth.
fourth.
Of course. I'm saying the Steelers ain't the second team.
Oh, they're not the second team. Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, they not the second team. That's what I'm trying to figure out. Who are we calling as the second best team? Because I think it's safe to say it's not Pittsburgh.
Yeah, so I got a hot take. I think, first of all, obviously the Chiefs is number one. I think Tennessee is number two. And to be honest with you, I think Buffalo is number three. So this is that thing, right? So Pittsburgh, everybody talks about this defense, right? So you just struggled against a third-string quarterback, and then you struggled against a second-string quarterback who hasn't been relevant in about 7 years. And then when he got hurt, you let the guy from Penn State, I forgot his name, McSorley, I think. Yeah. He let him get that 7-yard touchdown off. I'm just trying to figure out what does Pittsburgh do that scares anybody? They got a good defense, and everything. But okay, so when you got Tennessee, Tannehill is playing great. They got those two beast receivers, AJ Brown and Corey Davis. They got the dark horse MVP, Derrick Henry. Like that team is not somebody you want to play. Like clearly. And then you got Buffalo. Like people are acting like they're not 8-3, and they got Josh Allen, Diggs, and Tre'Davious White on defense. So I think Pittsburgh honestly might be the worst 11-0 team I've ever seen. I mean, it's not even. They're not. It's just ugly to watch. It's not even like the ugly kind where you can respect them because they got a good defense. Like they just struggle against. And I don't want to hear that division crap because stop. So yeah, I think they're the fourth best team. They'll be lucky if they win a game. I really hope they don't get that first seed because they don't really deserve it. They haven't beat nobody. So they got like one good win in that 11 games. So we'll see. But yeah, they're not even top 3.
Our followers have voted. They said 60% believe that the Steelers will not finish the season undefeated. I would have to agree with that viewpoint. As you just said, and as you have said, Miles, ain't no way the Steelers look anywhere near a threat to anybody. It's the Chiefs or die, and then you got everybody else. Chiefs against the field, Buffalo. As Greg said last episode, Buffalo and Tennessee, specifically Tennessee. If Tennessee can run that ball and keep Pat Mahomes off the field, that's the best chances of not seeing Pat Mahomes back in the Super Bowl. But even then, Pat Mahomes, all he needs is literally like 10 seconds, and he can go get a score. So it's kind of hard to deal with.
I need to jump in and say here for the Bench Mob family that I do not co-sign the message about the Buffalo Bills in the playoffs. I don't trust them. Stay away from them. Don't bet on them. And you want to know why? Because Josh Allen is the equivalent to Giannis. Josh Allen is like the guy who get in the playoffs and he just folds up. And you know why? Because he's not accurate. Because he's not accurate. That's why I don't believe in him. I like the fact that they got this Stephon Diggs. Stephon Diggs creates so much separation. I would hope you could hit him. Like, I think he's got a great arm, but he's overrated. Like, I'm not a Josh Allen guy at all. I'm going, if I'm doing my top 3, Chiefs, I'm gonna go with Tennessee, of course, second. I talked about them last show. I love Tennessee. And then I'll go with the Steelers third because come on now. Like, we can't be doing this is crazy. I'm gonna go with the Steelers third. I told that their problem is they don't run the ball. If you watched them yesterday, they don't run the ball at all. Like they throw. They were throwing on 3rd and 2, and that's fine. It's the NFL. People spacing things out, but they're too reliant on their passing game. And Ben is aging, and he's not the same quarterback. And I just think a team with a great defensive secondary can take that away. And also, they'll score too quickly to beat a team like the Chiefs. They just score too fast. The Tennessee Titans will wear you out with Derrick Henry, and they have a shot, realistically, keeping Pat on the sideline as long as possible. But yeah, the Bills don't buy their stock. It's cute or whatever. Let's pump the brakes on Josh Allen. Pump the brakes, please. Pump it on the brakes.
Hey. I just said they were their best team. I just think they're better than Pittsburgh. That's what I said.
I don't even know. I want to see that matchup in the playoffs. I don't believe in Josh Allen, bro. That man. I don't.
Weeks.
Right? Oh, is they playing a couple weeks?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, for real? Okay, look. Are we gonna see?
Yes.
Are we gonna see when they? Oh, yeah, we're gonna see because listen, Josh Allen's worst trait is accuracy.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Hot take for all the. Daniel Jones will be better than Josh Allen when this is all said and done. Give it a year's time.
I'm done.
Daniel Jones. Save the tape. Save the tape. By the end of next season, Daniel Jones will be viewed as a better quarterback than Josh Allen. Hot take.
Real quick before we wrap this up, how is that even possible if they're going to be if the Giants are looking for another quarterback by the end of next year?
People talking crazy. Daniel Jones playing great football. Like now,
what?
He's playing great football. He's playing great football. He's been playing great football the last 3 weeks. No turnovers. He's done a great job. He's making high-level throws.
See, you know what? Real quick, I realized that people have different expectations / definitions of greatness. I feel like if you turn the ball over 2 times a game, you're not that good.
No.
So I feel like that's not true. I feel like,
no.
I feel like talking about overrated, like he's accurate and stuff like that, but he's not as good as Giants fan would make him sound out to be. So
Hey, listen, I don't think Giants fans are calling to this yet. This is why it's a hot take. Giants fans don't actually realize what they have. I'm telling you, I'm a Dan Jones believer. I have believed since I got over my depression after they picked him. I went back and watched this film from Duke, and I was like, wait, this dude's deadly accurate. He's fast. I'm gonna give him a chance. If turnovers are an issue, he's not turning the ball over. He's gonna be better than Josh Allen by the end of next year. Hey, save the tape. That's all I gotta say, bro. I'll stand on anything.
Don't even waste any tape on that.
Save the tape.
It's highlight tape for you soon.
Well, I had 2 hot takes in this thing. Say the tape.
And we're gonna say the tape on that one. Something that we didn't get to on this episode, which I do want a hot take and want to talk to y'all about, is next episode we'll touch on it. Does Lamar Jackson, does he get fired? Do we try to find a different fit than him in Baltimore? But that's next episode, because you got like Dak Prescott that's going to be out there. Maybe Dak Prescott's a better fit. We'll see. We'll talk about that.
And just end the
We'll
episode.
talk about it next episode.
Yeah,
that's a cliffhanger right there.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
We'll talk about it next episode. But y'all already know the vibes. If you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. Follow us, subscribe, share it with your uncle, your auntie, your baby moms, all of them, even if y'all not talking. Benchmark probably bring y'all together. It's a lot of good content on here that'll bring y'all back to peace. Do it for the kids. But Benchmark, we out. Peace.
Peace.
Peace.